The Life Universe correspondent, reporting news of Life Universe. Awakening as my complete self, in Musigong Universe. A journey to meet my radiant self. Before beginning the study. Hello. I was born in Japan, later acquired Korean citizenship, and now live in Korea. Since childhood, I had been physically weak and experienced symptoms of depersonalization, where I felt as if I were disconnected from reality. Whenever I went to crowded places, I would become dizzy, physically exhausted, and mentally drained. I also suffered from depression and feelings of lethargy, which led me to receive psychiatric treatment. Then, after meeting my Korean husband, I began my married life in Korea in April 1995. Before coming to Korea, I had studied Korean on my own to some extent. However, I often faced difficulties with reading, writing, and speaking the language. In addition, adapting to Korean culture and customs, which were completely different from those of Japan, was not easy for me. I made many mistakes, and those experiences caused me a great deal of stress. As the eldest daughter-in-law, I lived with and cared for my mother-in-law, while raising 3 children. After living in the city for 10 years, our family moved to the countryside. For the first time in my life, I began working in farming. But because I was physically weak and often unable to fully grasp the situations around me, I gradually lost confidence in myself. As time went on, the emotional struggles I had experienced in Japan began to grow worse again. I started wondering, why did I come to Korea? And even began thinking about returning to Japan. Eventually, I started receiving psychiatric treatment again as well. During that difficult time, my husband tried to understand my mind and supported me, so that I could continue participating in social activities. I felt a strong sense of responsibility for the life I had chosen. Although both my mind and body were exhausted, I continued doing my best while working in roles that connected Japan and Korea in various ways. Later, after all 3 of our children became adults and left home, my husband and I began a new chapter of life together, just the 2 of us. At that time, my husband, who had always been deeply interested in studying the mind, came across videos on YouTube about the Musigong Universe. He told me that he wanted to attend one of the gatherings. I also felt that I needed some kind of inner change. So, in March 2020, I followed my husband and attended the gathering with him. Beginning the study of the Musigong Universe and the start of change. When I first went to the gathering, the people studying together warmly welcomed us. And I felt happy, as we shared stories about our lives with one another. Unlike the people I had met before, whenever I talked with them, my mind felt at ease. I even found myself counting the days until the next gathering. I was told that if I learned and practiced the meaning of the 6 universal truths, my mind would become more peaceful and brighter, so I devoted myself first to memorizing them. However, little by little, the dualistic thoughts that had been deeply hidden within me began to surface one by one. Eventually, I reached a point where I had no energy at all, to the extent that even getting out of bed in the morning felt overwhelming. Waves of sadness would suddenly come over me. Thoughts of Japan would fill my mind, and I found myself constantly in tears. That process felt as if I were deep beneath the ocean, unable to breathe and unable to rise back to the surface. The words and actions of the people I met through the gatherings, including my husband, began to linger heavily in my mind. I became hurt by those things, and it felt as if I had returned to the same state of mind I was in before beginning this study. Even when my mind temporarily felt better, it would soon become heavy again. As this repeated over and over, I even began to feel like giving up on this study altogether. But I already knew for myself that even if my husband or someone else gave me advice, and it helped me temporarily, in the end, this was still my own life. If I could not overcome it myself, nothing would truly change. So I began training myself to continuously imprint these words into my cells. I am a 100% complete Musigong life being. No matter what happens, there are only good phenomena. As I continued this practice, the times when I fell into deep slumps gradually began to decrease. Through that experience, I came to realize how important communication with my cells truly is. Realization of Musigong Universe mind and a turning point. I began talking to my cells, asking them, are the emotions I'm feeling right now real or false? If I keep holding on to painful feelings toward others, can I truly be happy? As soon as I did, the answer immediately came back. The one feeling these negative emotions is not the real you. At that very moment, the dualistic thoughts that had risen within my mind instantly disappeared, and I was able to return once again to the perspective of the Musigong Universe, where all things are one. From the moment I began firmly maintaining my place in the Musigong Universe, the words and actions of others, including my husband, no longer remained in my mind. And the negative emotions I had once carried gradually began to fade away. Rather, the more I communicated with those beings, the more I felt united with them, and the brighter my mind became. By focusing only on the perspective of the perfect Musigong Universe, where no negativity exists at all, I came to realize that everything happening within my body and mind could only be all good phenomena. I also realized that because I no longer looked back on the past with regret, and because I was happy in this present moment, the future would naturally become happy as well. In that state, I felt that I could live a complete life, free from worry. The people and situations I once believed were problems turned out to be illusions I had created myself. After realizing that, my mind became deeply peaceful. Who I am now, and a heart of gratitude. The difficulties I once suffered because of depersonalization and depression no longer affect me, to the point where I sometimes even wonder, did those things really happen to me? The body that used to be weak has also become incomparably stronger than before. I came to truly realize that everything can be created from within my own mind. And through that realization, I gained confidence in myself. What deeply moved me about this study was that, unlike traditional religions or spiritual practices, it is not about following someone as an object of worship, or trying to gain something from outside oneself. Instead, I was deeply moved by the realization that if I simply remain in the position of the perfect Musigong Universe, I can create everything in the direction I truly desire. And when I actually experienced that becoming reality, I was truly amazed. My perception of the one who revealed the absolute truth of the Musigong Universe also began to change. When I first met that being in March 2020, I regarded him as a great teacher, who had revealed the 6 universal truths of the Musigong Universe. As time passed, the title teacher naturally changed into the name Hana, carrying the meaning that we are one. And as I continued reciting the 6 universal truths and doing Che Hum, my awareness gradually changed into the understanding that Hana and I are the same Musigong life being, and we are equal. Of course, Hana is an extraordinary being who takes the lead in carrying out the work of the universe. However, just like the principle of Musigong, meaning no high and low, described in the Master Key system of the 6 universal truths, I came to feel that I am the same kind of creator and that each of us is a Musigong life being, carrying out our own beautiful role. I also came to realize that through the work of the universe, Hana has been showing us and sharing these truths. I once again came to deeply realize what a blessing it is that, in this lifetime, I was born on this earth together with Hana and other Musigong life beings, in order to participate in the creation of the perfect Musigong universe. Even now, I warmly embrace in my heart all the Musigong life beings who are beautifully creating their realities. With a heart of gratitude, I would like to conclude my story of Musigong experience. Thank you very much. Thank you, from the Life Universe correspondent.
반짝이는 빛 따라 새 지구 왔단다.